So a while back, my mother came to visit from out of state. She went to take a shower in the guest bathroom that nobody ever uses. And of course, the hot water just magically stopped working. My theory is maybe it was full of sediment. I have no idea. This was before I used the sediment buster to remove the sediment out of my hot water tank, a previous video I have done. As you saw, when you turn the valve over to the hot water side, barely any comes out. Sometimes none comes out. Doing some research, I found out it was probably the cartridge in the shower valve. My shower brand is Moen, and I found this really nice kit. Not only did it have a replacement cartridge, it also had a cartridge pull removal tool. On top of that, it also had additional hardware in case you lose any pieces while you're disassembling. This came in handy earlier because I did lose a screw. And here it is, the thing that I need to replace, the thing that's probably broken. Not only was buying the kit cheaper, it came with some decent instructions. The negative review says that their shower leaked after installation. If that happens to me, you'll see it, and if it doesn't do it now but later, I will update the review. After shutting off your main water supply, you can start the disassembly. Step 1 is to remove the Allen screw underneath the handle holding it on. These can be tight and corroded. If you have to drill it out, there is a replacement screw in the kit. The next thing you remove is the handle adapter. You don't need an impact driver, but I have one and I'm lazy. These are your temperature limit adjusters. This is what you would adjust if you wanted to make your hot water a little hotter. Or limit the hot water so a child doesn't burn themselves. These just slide right out. Next, we'll remove the screws that attach the cover plate to the water valve. This cover plate has a gasket on it to keep water from getting behind it. The screws are rather long, and this is why I use my impact driver. Next, we'll remove this little cartridge cover, a thin piece of metal. It just wiggles right off. Next, get some channel locks or a pair of pliers and take the retaining pin out. Now that the cartridge is ready to remove, we're going to use a cartridge removal tool. It has a threaded screw that goes in the same spot as your handle adapter kit. Sorry that my hand is in the way during this process. Once the removal tool is installed, it makes sense on how to use it to remove the cartridge. I found the easiest way to use this tool was to hold the top by hand and use a wrench to turn the bottom nut clockwise. This pushed the nut against the valve body and force the cartridge out. It was a bit of a slow process, but it does come out, and eventually a little water will come out. One of the things that was making this hard to come out was that the gasket on the hot water side was starting to get pinched, bunched up. So a couple of times I had to screw the nut back into the body of the removal tool. Then I would screw the top part in deeper and start all over again. I tried to use a pair of channel locks to pull that gasket loose to get it unpinched. But it didn't work. It was a waste of time. I found just turning the tool and pulling out was the best way to get the cartridge out. Eventually it will come out, and then the gaskets, you'll see them fall here in a second. And there she is without the gaskets. Pay attention to the hole locations. Notice one is forward and one is back. For me, the back was the left-hand side. On the new one, it will come with a tube of grease. Make sure you use it on all the gaskets. If you don't, it won't slide in properly. The gaskets will get pinched and then you will have leakage. Also use the plastic cartridge body to push it in. For the most part, it went in pretty easily, but the last 10% I was having trouble getting in, and you need it in all the way to put the clip back in. I found holding it with a pair of channel locks and then taking the removal tool and just pushing it in and gently rocking it back and forth, it slid in perfectly. Once you get the cartridge seated, you can then drop in the clip to hold it in. At this point, I turned the water back on to see if there would be any leaks. Then I used a pair of channel locks to turn it off. As you can see, there was no leaks, so I was able to leave the water on the rest of the time working on this. Knowing the off position will also help you to reassemble it. Now it's just about putting it back together. First we'll slide the cover over the valve body. Next I put on the two plastic gears, the temperature limit stop kit, but this can be done after the cover plate is put on as well. In hindsight, it's probably just a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about them falling out. Now we put on the cover plate. This is the perfect time to clean the back of the wall to make sure the seal is good. Now it's just about finding the holes in the valve to get these all lined up with the screws. Make sure you snug the screws good and tight because this will keep the valve from moving and keep water from getting behind the cover plate. Finally, we hold it all together with the handle adapter. I used the metal one that came in the kit. It just felt more solid. The other one was rubber. Now rubber might be better just because you don't have to worry about it rusting. This one was clean, shiny and new, so I couldn't resist using it. This is a good time to test out the hot water to see if you need to adjust the temperature. Once you're happy with everything, then all you have to do is put the handle back on. Then we will give it one final test to make sure we did everything right. Well, everything is working as it should. There's no leakage, the hot water is hot watering, and the cold water is cold watering. And she has enough pressure to make an old man jealous. Well, I hope you found this tutorial useful, and I will see you in the next one.